Welcome everyone. Today we have a very special guest, someone who is dedicated each time in Diablo Immortal to pretty much break the meta. We have Auroth, and we have some new exciting legendary gems that came to Diablo Immortal in the most recent patch. So before we jump in, Auroth, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your first impressions of the new gems?
Yes, thank you, Indez. First of all, thanks a lot for the invite to your channel. I always get happy when someone wants to discuss new gems or new updates to the game, because that's what I love to do the most. But yeah, for those who don't know me, I am also a content creator, and my focus is to give deep insights around mechanics, around mathematics, how to calculate your damage output, and things like this. And I often do very deep analysis guides with new types of builds and stuff like that. So if you are an advanced player who wants to really dive deep into the details, then I recommend you to check out my channel as well.
Yeah,
So that's just a little bit
and
short about me.
I can actually give you a big shout out, and because when I was first starting out, you were a huge inspiration, pretty much one of the few content creators that was literally diving deep into all the calculations and the maths, and it really helped a lot, especially your DPS formula. It was one of the, I think it was 1 or 2 hours long guide, but after that I really managed to really almost 10x my damage after it. So for sure, go check it out, or it's probably gonna link it down below so you guys can go and check it out. Now, regarding the legendary gems, what do you think? We can maybe start with the first one, with the 1 star, the Faltergrasp. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, well, when I saw this gem at first, it's quite similar to some other gems. We have the Abiding Curse, which has a similar effect, and we also have the Black Rose, which also has a similar effect. And I tend to use the Abiding Curse quite a lot in PvP, and
Really?
also in some types of PvE content. So for that reason, there's definitely potential in this gem. But I would say that if we look at the Black Rose, which is also a 1-star gem, it has a very similar effect, but the difference is that with Faltergrasp, you will disable the dash function when you deal damage to someone, while the Black Rose immobilizes someone when you deal damage to them. I mean, if they have it equipped. So I guess these two can also work very well together. And yeah, I mean, the Black Rose works fine. You get immobilized, but you can still use dash skills. So I guess that this will also have an impact. And also important to mention here is that if you anyone has been watching my channel before, I have been advocating a lot lately for the fix that increases damage done to enemies suffering loss of control.
Yeah.
And this is yet another way to apply this effect also from a distance, because this has also decreased movement speed, which will trigger this fix. So there are definitely a lot of uses for this gem. Uh, the cooldown is 20 seconds, and the duration is not super long. But if you combine it with other tools together, they can be powerful, I guess.
Yeah, that,
Especially if you combine it with the Black Rose, because if you trigger this and Black Rose, it gets triggered at the enemy at the same time, they are immobilized and they can't dash either. So then they will be sitting duck, not only for you, but maybe some of your teammates can jump in. And if you are a lower resonance player, like, or a free-to-play player, maybe your role in a battleground is not to deal the most damage or to take the most damage, but to be as annoying as possible. And then these types of gems can be really strong and a great option for you.
yeah, you actually touched on a very good point. Usually, whatever is annoying is a good thing in PvP, right? So I was, when I first read this one, and I also want to ask you, because like you said that this one with the Black Rose, which are two pretty much like immobilized or like trying to disable the dash abilities, when you pair them together, especially if I'm thinking about like a wizard, for example, they already have the arcane wind, they have the freeze, and if you put this on top, it can become like very powerful. But if I only had 1 slot, which one would you pick, the new one or the Black Rose?
Well, it's hard to say. I would probably pick the new one because uh, there are a lot of strong builds that revolves around dashes in PvP. You have the Tempest with Flowing Strike. You also have the new wizard archetype with a lot of dashes when they are teleporting everywhere. And this gem will disrupt their playstyle a little bit more than, for example, the Black Rose. Because if you land the Black Rose on a Tempest, for example, they can just use Flowing Strike and then they are out of it. But this is a counter to the Tempest, and we see quite a lot of Tempest. So therefore, I would probably go for this one. But I would also say that if you are not among the strongest players in a lobby, you will be a lot more impactful if you focus on being as annoying as possible.
Yeah.
So sure, if you have to make a choice, then go for Faltergrasp. But you should also try out to use both at the same time.
Yeah, there's actually a video idea. How to make the most annoying build possible. We can maybe come up with something like that. So moving on into the second one, the 2-star gem, Specter Glass. This one seems like to be one of the strongest 2-stars in the game right now. What kind of like playstyles or classes do you think it will benefit the most out of it?
Well, to be honest, this will be one of the most useful 2-star gems for all the classes. And of course, there are some classes that might be able to utilize it even better. And there are some archetypes for different classes that focuses a lot on harmful effect duration. And in those cases, even prolonged fights will reap more benefits from this 2-star gem. But in reality, in most situations, the 2-second uptime of this debuff at base value is enough to kill off most enemies within that time frame. So if we look at the buff itself, it's 28%, and it actually triggers on every target when you hit it the first time, as long as you deal a critical hit. So in most scenarios, it's 28% damage uptime all the time. And of course, we also get the critical hit chance from it, and critical hit chance is super powerful. So in my opinion, I would probably rank this gem the highest of all the 2-star gems in most situations. If you have very low critical hit chance, in that case, I would rank Mother's Lament higher. And if you have very high critical hit chance and a high ranked Rolling Consequence, for example, then you no longer need the Mother's Lament. So it depends on your character and it depends on your stats. So still, no matter what, this is a must-have gem in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like I've been playing this game for 1 year, and the power creep that has been happening when it comes like to these gems, like the 2-star gems especially, and even a few 1-stars that have been coming recently in this latest patch, they are becoming like really, really strong to a point that nowadays I feel like even if you're a free-to-play or a low spender, most likely you always want to slot a few of like these 2 and 1-stars because they are like that powerful. And I'm not saying like a lot of them will replace the 5-stars, like at the end, like if you're, for example, 10,000 resonance, but if you're like at least mid resonance, I am sure that you're going to slot in one of them. So the other day,
Sorry, I just have to jump in here because I have a lot of high-ranked 5-star gems, but when I play PvE content and also in PvP content, I use a lot of 2-star gems because it's not a good strategy to go for high resonance because resonance itself will not give you a lot of extra damage output. So when you raise your resonance, you often do it at expense of other types of damage modifiers. And of course, there are some 5-star gems that provides excellent damage modifiers as well. We have Rolling Consequence, which is probably the best 5-star gem in the game. But we also have Blood Soak Jade and to some extent Bottled Hope. But yeah, of course, I would say that no matter your resonance, you should get this new 2-star gem and a lot of other 2-star gems.
Do you think it is a good thing? I feel like for the health of the game, I think from my biased perspective as a free-to-play, I like to see these strong 2-stars being added to the game. But from a spender perspective, what is your take? Like, do you think it's like beneficial to the game that these 2-stars are taking the place of 5-stars, or what do you feel about it?
Well, I definitely think that the game is at a better state when you can be very powerful in PvE using only 1-star and 2-star gems. I would say that for PvP, it is what it is. You can still perform very well, even with limited resources in PvP, but you have to rely on building your character properly and also rely more on your skills, because skill is also a factor in
Yeah.
PvP, even though some people will not recognize that. But uh, I would say I'm more worried about new 5-star gems coming out that are too strong in PvE. If we take Roiling Consequence, for example, of course, if you have Roiling Consequence, you no longer need Mother's Lament. And if you don't have Roiling Consequence, you can use Mother's Lament, so they complement each other a little bit. But if we go back in time a little bit, when the game was new, it was a lot more difficult to build a very strong character for PvE content,
Yeah.
because it was a lot harder to reach the cap of critical hit damage, to get high critical hit chance, and a lot of other factors as well. So the gap now is looking a little bit different, because the more very strong 5-star gems that comes out, eventually the top performing build in PvE in terms of damage output will be only 5-star gems
Yeah.
if we continue down this path.
Mm.
So I'm of course excited to see interesting new gems that will improve the damage output, but I prefer to see them in the 2-star category, in the 1-star category.
Mm.
And now when we can make all types of gems dormant, it's very free to play friendly as well,
Yeah.
because you don't need to get them to rank 10. You can get it to rank 6, rank 7, maybe rank 8, your favorite ones, and then you can just switch between all of the 2-star and 1-star gems in the game. So it provides a lot of versatility for the players to experiment and have more fun, because that's what the game is about, to try out different combinations and see what works best in different situations. And that has been a good change. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about these strong 5-star gems that are popping up
Yeah,
from time to time.
you touched on a very interesting topic, which is versatility of builds and playing with a lot like with these gems. It's definitely something that I feel like they are trying to expand, and having one like these strong 1-stars and 2-stars definitely they are helping with it. And so now let's talk about the big one. The new Colossus engine is the new 5-star for those that don't know. What do you think about the gem? Do you think it is a must-have? Do you think it's a bit more situational compared to other 5-stars?
Uh, I definitely think it's a must-have. And if you think about it, we can make a comparison with Blood Soak Jade. So Blood Soak Jade, it gives you extra damage increase, and at maximum value it's 24%, but most people don't have it at maximum value, of course. But what's also important about the Blood Soak Jade is that you get 10% movement speed. And this is at rank 1, you get the full value. So this is also a reason why every player uses Blood Soak Jade in almost all of their builds, no matter the content. And it's very similar with the new Colossus Engine gem, because of course to get the full value of it you need to rank it to high ranks, but even at rank 1 you get the full value from the increased size effect and the increased skill range effect. And the increased size and the increased skill range is a lot stronger than the 10% movement speed that you get from Blood Soak Jade. And on top of that, the damage effect that you get from Colossus Engine is also bigger and more impactful in most archetypes compared to the Blood Soak Jade. Because, yeah, it's more important to have, yeah, if you can choose between having an average damage increase all the time or to have a very strong damage increase over a limited time, the second is preferable. I made a video about this recently, because what a lot of players do, if you have 10 seconds uptime, for example, on Colossus Engine, and it would give you, let's say, 25% skill damage, then what people would do is that they say, okay, I have 10% with 25%, I mean 10 seconds, and then I have 10 seconds with no buff. So the average is 12.5%.
Yeah, they divide it by 2 basically, right?
Yeah, but that is actually wrong, the wrong conclusion. And let's not dive into the mathematics here, but if anyone is interested to see why that conclusion is wrong, you can check out the video I released a few days ago.
Yeah, that's I saw that video and I really tell to people to actually go and check it out because it's very interesting whenever you go into the numbers and you fully understand how it really works. That sometimes having more damage on Tuesdays is better than having like smaller damage every day, right? So you talked about in whenever I first read the gem, I told myself that okay, nowadays most of the builds, especially in PvP, they are using skill damage. It's like most of the people, they don't have enough time to actually go in a primary attack, with certain exceptions, right? Like Tempest and all these classes. And but the thing that caught my eye was like the increased size, and I also drew the conclusion that okay, this is probably going to be very similar to the Blood Soak Jade, because the utility that this gem is bringing to the table with the increased size also is going to increase your movement speed, and then your skills now, instead of having like a smaller circle, the circle becomes like slightly bigger. I got like, I'm probably gonna pull for it. Like I'm definitely gonna do like on 9th April is gonna be my first year playing Diablo Immortal. I am excited for that. But do you think that a free-to-play player should go and maybe save their legendary crest to try their chance of having at least a rank 1?
Yeah, 100%. I think that this is my favorite gem in the game. I would say that, of course, Roiling Consequence is maybe a little bit stronger in terms of damage output. But like you said, the utility you get from using Colossus Engine is amazing. It's because when you play PvP, it will increase your mobility and it will help you to be able to kite enemies and be more effective. When you are in dungeons, you will run faster from point A to point B. If you are farming in open world farming, you will run around faster. If you're in Abyssal Verge, for example.
Yeah.
So I would say that even if it's at low rank or high rank, this is probably one of the coolest and most efficient gems in the game, because you can also break it down like this. You can measure efficiency in different terms. You can look at, okay, which gems will give me the most damage, and you go to the training dummy, and that's also, of course, very fun. And in some situations, that's what matters most, your damage output. But in reality, in many other situations, it's about the time you have to spend to complete something. So let's say that you are farming for 1 hour for new essences and new materials. If you can increase your run speed and your efficiency by 5% by making one change, and then you do 10 changes, then you have all of a sudden increased your efficiency by 50%. And then you will have 50% more materials, 50% more items. Everything will work in your favor. So I really, really love this gem, and I recommend everyone to at least put it as an auxiliary gem in one of your other 5-star gems.
That's very interesting because you know, until now there was like always, at least for free to play, must pull gems was always like the Rolling Consequence and the Blood Soak Jade. So you're saying that we should add as a third one here the Colossus engine, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I also have to add about Blood Soak Jade that, of course, Blood Soak Jade is a very strong gem, but the 10% movement speed that you get from it,
It's
you can
passive.
get through other means as well. So let's not talk the details.
Okay. I see what you're saying. You say.
But you can get from your gear, you can gather up to 20% movement speed.
Yeah.
And so you can, on your magical attributes, for example, on your set pieces, you can find movement speed. And these 10% that you get from Blood Soak Jade, those are included into those 20%. So if you have the Blood Soak Jade, you can only top up with 10 more
10%.
percentages from the set items.
Yeah.
But if you build your character correctly, you can build around it. Because if you think about it, if you have a low rank Blood Soak Jade at rank 2 or rank 3 or even at rank 4, the damage increase that you get from it is not that high. So it would actually be more beneficial to try to alter your setup a little bit try to acquire those 20% movement speed through different means. And then
Yeah.
you can even replace the Blood Soak Jade and put in the new 2-star gem, for example, or put in a Pain Clasp or a Fervent Fang, or even some 1-star gems. So I would say that the general opinion about Blood Soak Jade is a little bit wrong. It's
Mhm.
the conception of it is people think it's a little bit better than it actually is, in my opinion. Still a good gem though.
Yeah, I feel like it's because a lot of times, especially when you're a new player, like as a veteran, it's easier to manipulate all these substats, especially now with the new enchant feature, we can reroll for them. But also we have now these blue runes that you can add 3 movement speed on your main weapon, which is also very good. So I see what you mean. Like if you get to a point that you can actually go and get this 20% movement speed through these different substats or runes, then one thing that no gem gives you is increased size and increased skill range, right? So it's actually more valuable in that way. If you see it, than actually having and pulling for the Blood Soak Jade.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, we also have to take into account that if you're removing the Blood Soak Jade,
Yeah,
then it's a little bit more difficult to reach this 20% that we're talking
exactly.
about. But if you're into the details and you pay attention to those, then it's actually possible to be even more efficient without Blood Soak Jade. But then you have to maybe work a little bit harder for it to find the correct items and farm a little bit more. So
Yeah.
it makes it a little bit more complicated. Yes.
And one final detail that we didn't even touch, like regarding the Colossus engine, is that for PvP you also get this immunity to knockbacks. So I'm actually curious about, because I still don't have the gem, so maybe I can ask you, when does these gem procs? Because it says that, I think as a starting point, I think it's like 1 second or 1 point something seconds, and then it can go up to 4.8 seconds of immunity to knockback. So
Yeah.
when does the Colossus procs? Whenever you buff up, or
Whenever you use a buff. So
mm,
when you use a buff, then it will proc, and
mm,
then it can proc for another 20 seconds. So that's yeah. If you are really into the details, you sometimes also have to think about when you use a buff.
okay,
Because let's say that you are you want to test your damage at the training dummy,
yeah,
and then you use a buff when you start to fight, and you trigger Colossus Engine, and then you will fight for 1 minute, uh, and then you have a buff ready after 19 seconds. If you use it after 19 seconds, you will not trigger Colossus Engine, right? So
yeah.
then you have to wait until the 20-second mark until you use it. So there are these like a little bit of extra details that you have to consider as well to perfect your output.
Yeah,
But
because
this comes down to
as a,
skill and muscle memory and things like this.
yeah, as a bard, like you spawn and the first thing you do is like Wrath of the Berserk, and you just start running into the fight. So definitely something to maybe have in consideration. So to finish it up, we have like 3 very exciting gems with very different use cases. Like we have the 1-star that's pretty much like for Tempest, it's probably your worst nightmare. Then we have a 2-star that, as you said, and you sum up, like it is like one of the best gems in the game right now, if not the best gem, if your crit is high enough for all the classes in the game. And then we have the Colossus engine, a 5-star that it is pretty much a powerhouse. It gives you skill damage, it's gonna give increased size, increased skill on the range, and also some immunity knockback. So do you feel excited about like these new gems? And also, but because like one of the things you said, that you were a bit also scared for the future if they keep like this power creep, all the old gems gonna be like pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, well, when it comes to power creep, if it's 1-star gems or 2-star gems, I just think it's a good thing,
Yeah,
especially now when we can make gems dormant. I was advocating for that for a long time because people were locked into their older 2-star gems, and if they wanted to try something new, they had to destroy their old gems. So I was super happy when they made that change. So going forward, it's not a problem if they release new strong 2-star gems, but of course, it's a little bit worrisome if it's in the end gonna be that the top build is if you have all 5-star gems, and then you will deal the most damage. And that's not a
Yeah.
That's not a progression I want to see. So of course they can reverse if they walk down that path now. They can make a reverse to that strategy by putting even stronger 2-star gems and 1-star gems into the game for PvE content at least. But yeah, we will have to wait and see. But that is my take on it.
All right. So before we wrap up, I kind of want to ask you, because like we have so many gems right now in the gem, in the game. What are your top 3 favorites?
Yeah, my top three favorites
Mhm.
is okay. I'm gonna first say from my perspective,
Yeah,
and then it's
personal opinion.
Colossus Engine,
Ooh.
uh, Roiling Consequence, and Specter.
All right, so
So
we have 2 of the new gems like in the top 3, and
yeah,
well, or that's lastly.
but yeah, I just have to just say one last thing here. If I was lower resonance and I
Mhm.
didn't have a high rank, a Roiling Consequence, in that case I would put in Mother's Lament into that group as well,
Yeah,
because Mother's Lament is very important for the majority of players. So yeah, I'm probably going to release a video very soon about when is it wise to switch out Mother's Lament, because you can actually calculate it exactly
the,
where the break point is.
oh,
So
well, I'm gonna be definitely a viewer on that video, because I think I am reaching to that point. Still use the Roiling Consequence, and I still use the Mother's Lament, and my crits is like it's quite high. I think I'm already at the cap, but I'm still not sure. So just in case, I'm still using the Mother's Lament. So I'll be waiting for the video. I'm sure everyone is watching this. So Auroth, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for breaking down and giving your opinion on the new gems. Any last words you want to say?
once again, thank you for letting me be here, and also hello to all of the viewers. It was nice to meet you as well, and have a nice evening wherever you are.
All right. So, guys, thank you for watching, and we catch you guys on the next one. Peace.